So, tell me something terrible. All right, all right.
Quit being weird.
I was just seeing if I could make peaks and valleys on the screen.
All about them peaks and valleys?
Yes, like my chiseled physique. Mm-hmm. I was hoping you'd spit wine out when I said that.
No. You ready to get started then?
Let's do this.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yep. Good job.
Thanks. I nailed it this time.
Okay.
You ready to officially get started then?
Yes.
All right.
On episode 21.
Yes.
Or 21 for our French listeners. Listener. Anyway.
So today we're going to get a little closer to home. Because I feel like, it's been kind of like everywhere, but not Midwest lately. And we're going to talk about...
not enough meat and potatoes.
No. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about one of my biggest fears, apart from the Mackinac Bridge. Fires.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So...
What if about a bridge on fire? How's that make you feel?
Well, if it's a bridge on fire, it's above water, so it'd be isolated.
Something's happened with our chairs. I can't see your face anymore. I have to move myself.
Yeah, things have been shifted, and it's unfortunate.
Ignore this mic move. Nobody heard that. Cool.
Okay, ready? So, maybe that's what it was, the monitor. You had it tilted funny one day, and then I had to move it back, and...
I was watching stuff when I was working out. Lay off me.
Piss poor excuse.
Piss poor?
Piss poor. So... I'm going to add more to your stuff you should know by now.
Oh.
Repertoire.
That's a Wednesday tweet thing.
Yes.
I did one so far.
Drop the...
At TMST Pod.
Yep.
TMST Pod. It's not TMNT, but we are close.
Yes. Hashtag shameless plugging.
Hey now.
So, do you remember the Great Chicago Fire of 1871? You know, where the one where like the cow tipped over the gas lamp in the barn and it burned down all of Chicago.
The Great Chicago Fire. I wouldn't have been able to tell you the year.
Oh, yeah. O'Leary's cow kicked over the gas lantern and burned down all of Chicago.
Cows, historically unstable.
They are. So there was a bigger one.
Okay.
That same day.
The same day?
The same day.
Okay. Wow. I thought you were going to say like same year.
Nope. It is fucking chaos. There were 2 bigger fires that same day.
Was it especially like dry?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get into it.
What year was this?
1871.
Oh, 18. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fire. I feel like, is that when like fire like departments were like ragtag gangs of random people?
I think it was a little bit older than that. But, I mean, they did have an engine in the one town.
They were called natives.
But it was back when they had, like, bucket brigades and stuff, too, still.
Yeah. In the bucket was leaking, and by the time it got there, it was like 3 drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the worst Three Stooges looking...
Yes.
I don't know. I went to Wizard of Oz. That's our child's fault.
So, that day, literal day, there was the
What
great...
day is this? What day
This is October... Oh, shit. 8th. Found it. October 8th, 1871.
Okay.
So that same day...
Not important. I just wanted to grill you on the details.
Yes. So there was the Great Michigan Fire of 1871, and then there was also the largest and most lethal fire in U.S. history, at least at that point before, California kind of caught on fire during that 2020. Uh-huh. So that... The most lethal up until probably California fire was called the Peshtigo Fire, and that burned through northern Wisconsin and into the UP of Michigan.
Just smelled like hot cheese.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Actually, it probably smelled delicious. We had huge pine forests back then. Like, the trees got up to like 150 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then they all burned down?
Yep. Well, we logged them to death first, and then they all burned down.
Well, yes.
Yeah, we're really good at depleting our natural resources.
Well,
this is stressing me out. It's too close to me.
Just throw it off there, then, you weirdo. Sorry, I stretch with bands sometimes.
So anyway, on October 8th, 1871, nearly all of the Midwest burned down. Fires started in Chicago, northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, and Port Huron, like the thumb region in Michigan. So these were all separate unrelated events.
Do they lump them all in together as the...
Just the Chicago fire.
Okay.
Nobody remembers these other two fires because Chicago burned to the ground.
And they had more centralized news.
Yes,
media.
it took 4 days for the news for the Peshtigo fire to get to Chicago.
Well, they kept printing papers and they would just burn up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, the telegraph lines had completely burned down, and it took like 2 days to get to Green Bay, where there was the next live whatever the fuck I just said, telegraph lines were at, and then it took like 2 more days to get the message.
And they just kept sending back, go, Pack, go, go, Pack, go. Fuck the Bears. Not yet.
Not yet.
Charlie Barons.
Yep. So all of this he's great. So all of this was exacerbated by the logging industry that ravaged the land, the extremely dry winter of 1870, and then the continued dry year of 1871, and the winds from this low pressure front that had moved up through the states.
El Nino.
Worse.
It
could have been an El Nino
I'm just going
year.
to throw in any type of weather terminology I know.
Like, maybe it was El Nino.
Enhanced fajita.
They didn't create... Well, it created a firestorm. Anyway, we'll get to it. So, and then there was the mix of like controlled burns from the logging companies and from farmers. So it was a perfect mix of circumstances leading to one hell of an inferno.
A lot of fish fries. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So most areas in Michigan had experienced either like no rain or a quarter of the amount of the rain of the normal rainfall that would that was normal in that time.
Yep, I understood what you meant.
Yes, either 1/4 of the amount all the way
Or
down
less.
to none.
Yep.
Yeah, for October.
At least 75% less.
Yes. So this was also paired with the slash, which is debris left behind from logging companies, and then dried up vegetation.
Well, when it's fall in Michigan, that's bonfire season.
It really is. So after clearing an area, logging companies would leave behind bark, branches, and unused wood, creating the perfect fuel for an uncontrolled fire. The fires in the thumb were the result of hundreds of small land clearing fires started by farmers and loggers, per their usual practice of clearing the land. Or it could have been lightning, or if you're feeling extra conspiratorial, some people believe it was from fragments from Comet Bela that had just recently passed above the area, and some think that this was the cause for the fires in the region.
It was aliens.
It was.
They're just throwing fire rocks off
Definitely.
their passing comet.
Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Nailed it.
Yep. That tone deafness is coming back. So either way, there were already little fires happening in the region, and they'd been cropping up all over Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois for a week now. Mm-hmm. Yep. So all of these little fires were then whipped up by the gale force winds of that low pressure front. And it grew together to form just one massive wall of flames that swept over 2.5 million acres of woodland and farms.
That seems like a lot.
This is just the one fire. This is the small fire.
Like I say, I don't know how big Michigan is, but 2.5 million acres seems like a good chunk of it.
Yeah. So as the winds shifted direction,
Don't worry,
firefighters...
I'll Google it.
Yeah, go for it. So as the wind shifted direction, firefighters were unable to maintain control, and it tore through Alpena, Holland, Manistee, and Port Huron. Hundreds of families were left homeless, and the death toll and property loss has never been officially determined because, it was the 1870s.
Michigan is just under 100,000 square miles.
I don't remember how much
That's
the acres
upper and lower.
are. Well,
That's all I got.
all right.
That's just things you should know.
So there were a lot of unregistered people and transients just wandering about Michigan, seasonal workers coming in to log, people that just were passing through.
Canadians who got lost.
Probably. So there's not really a good death toll. They think it was less than Chicago because it happened during the day, but
And population density.
yeah. Yes, definitely. But the land mass was huge. Like in Chicago, it was only like a 4-mile block, 4-mile area. This was thousands of miles.
So we've been carved out, Michigan has, by glaciers and fire.
Pretty much, yes.
Yes, we're Game of Thrones.
Yeah, because 10 years later, another fire went through that exact same region following the exact same path. My limp mic. It keeps happening.
Your mic is so depressed. We'll get a screwdriver.
You need a good screwdriver. So it's been estimated that this fire caused anywhere between...
Now it's standing at attention.
It is. So it was estimated that this fire caused anywhere between 150 to 250 deaths. And apparently I didn't put a value at all about how much property damage there was. So yeah.
Millions of dollars.
Possibly between 150 to 250 people died in this fire.
Those lives are priceless. That's why you couldn't find an amount.
Yep.
It's a Visa commercial.
So one Holland, Michigan resident described the event as, quote, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
All their wooden shoes are burnt.
Oh, no.
What are those called?
Clogs.
Is that it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I thought there was a more...
No, just wooden clogs.
A more Dutch? What are Holland people? Are they Dutch?
Yes.
A more Dutchish name for them than clog.
Clog wasn't enough for you?
No.
It just really rolls off the tongue.
Get your wooden shoes out of my drain.
So at 2 o'clock, that was bad.
Thank you.
So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the wind turned southwesterly and began to gradually increase. The fire alarm was rung, and from this time on, the fighting of the fire...
It's just a fire chief on his roof with a kazoo.
Yep. Along the timbered track south and southwest of the city was kept up uninterruptedly. As night advanced, the wind increased in force until at midnight it blew a hurricane, spreading the fire and the flames with an alarming velocity toward the doomed city. Yeah. The winds in this front got up to 110 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's because there wasn't any trees that burned them all down.
So across the state and
how often do we get winds at 100 miles an hour? Like 50-mile-an-hour winds make me fear our barn's going to blow down.
Yeah, not that often, which is why this was like a literal perfect culmination between like the little mining, like the little fires that were set, and the dryness and the wind. It was the perfect storm, for lack of a better word,
It's crazy to think our house was around then too.
Really? Oh yeah, it was like 20 years old by then. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't make it this far.
Right.
So
we're surrounded by swamp.
Yeah, we would have been fine. Which we would have been fine. Most of the people that survived the Peshtigo fire survived because they buried themselves in like the little marshland there was available, because most of it had dried up.
They buried themselves in marshland?
Yes. It was insane. People were jumping in rivers. They were jumping in wells. Like, it's horrible. Just wait. It's
That's where
so
Batman
bad.
came from.
What?
That's where Batman came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
So across the state in up just a few hours drive, like in modern cars, which probably took a few days back then.
No. They had cars back then.
Totally. So there was another fire roaring into existence. In the northern Wisconsin/UP area, decades of massive logging had started to take its toll as well. In the town of Peshtigo, Wisconsin, little fires cropping up everywhere was also the norm. Citizens of Peshtigo were used to falling ash.
Peshtigians.
Yeah. They were used to falling ash, sporadic fires, and smoke that filled the air. Peshtigo had become a leading region in the production of wooden housewares. There were factories where wooden kitchen utensils were produced, wooden bathtubs, wooden brooms, pails, and barrels, all that, things made of wood.
Yeah.
Yep. The
brooms,
town,
wands, cauldrons. Yeah.
Yep. So the town boasted one of the largest sawmills in the country. Wood was everywhere. All the buildings and houses were wood. There was wooden sidewalks. There were wooden trails that ran between towns.
Peshtigo's got wood.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got lots of wood.
Thank you for confirming my joke.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't point at me, please. Don't.
Too bad. All the points.
Also, quick side note.
Yes.
We might do one of these live on the Twitch. If you're interested in that, let us know, social media-wise, Facebook, whatever.
Or don't. We'll just do it anyway.
No, we probably won't just do it anyway. That's not how any of this works.
So anyway, apart from that, there's also like piles of wood, for the winter fuel to keep your houses warm, piled up next to houses. There was also, they used sawdust to keep dust down off of the wooden streets. It was
Wait, what?
They used sawdust
to keep the dust down.
to keep the dirt dust down.
Oh, like so when the horses came clomping through it. Okay.
Yep.
The streets are paved with sawdust.
Yes. So, and again, we still had the common practice of controlled burns set by logging companies and also the railroad companies. So sparks from steam engines would set off little fires as well. Some fires were extinguished, some were left to die out on their own. Because of the dry ground and the slash produced from logging, many of these small fires ran along low to the ground, and some even working their way underground, feeding off of peat moss and the root systems of the trees.
Well, don't like roads act as like natural barriers during like natural fires? So
yeah,
if your roads are covered
normal
in
small fires.
Yeah, and if they're covered in sawdust, that seems like it might be counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, it was the 1870s.
You
Quite
learn
the
from your
learning curve.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially mistakes that kill 1,700 people.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Just turn it off now.
So occasionally trees would fall with no warning, bursting into flames.
Does it make a sound?
There were people around, so yes.
Ah.
Yep.
And a bear shat in the woods.
Damn it. So they would burst into flame as they fell, as the fire ate its way up.
Christ compels
Yeah,
you.
literally. It would catch fire at the roots and work its way up and would fall.
Yeah.
Yep. So smoke was so thick in the air that the lighthouse just off the shore ran 24 hours a day. Ships relied on their compasses to navigate.
I heard shits, but that's fine.
Pretty sure shits know just to head south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know where the water's at.
Yeah. So gas lights were also lit to keep the darkness from the smoke at bay 24 hours a day.
Not
Again,
in the bay.
Just to
The Green Bay.
Yeah, in order to see.
I know.
This one's up at the UP.
I'm literally just interrupting you to be funny now.
Stop it. To be funny, we don't do that here.
It's not working.
Clearly.
I'm going to cut all this out.
Yep. So occasionally schools would be canceled due to the poor conditions, and many people would get ill from the smoke inhalation. There was already
an ash storm. Oh, no school today. There's an ash storm.
Yeah.
So it just looks like modern day California or LA.
Yep.
No smog, just ash.
Yep.
Cool.
So there was already a fire that had sparked in a pile of sawdust 2 weeks prior, and the flames were doused by locals running to the river and putting the fire out with a bucket brigade style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it.
So hopefully that's a fun enough picture for you.
Slosh, slosh, slosh. Psst. We need more.
So
Or literally, if everyone just pissed on it, you'd be better off.
Probably.
Yeah.
So on October 8th, the low pressure system moved in from the west, and with it, it brought wind gusts reaching 110 miles per hour. And so this low pressure front, the air rises quickly and cools off, causing air around the system to get quickly pulled in to replace it. So that's how you get the swirling. This is how hurricanes essentially form.
A low pressure front sounds super passive aggressive, by the way.
It
No
does.
pressure, but we're going to,
We got to do this.
Yeah.
We got to burn this town down.
This is a front. It's low pressure. No biggie.
But a lot of people are going to die afterwards.
Yep.
So the winds began to pick up at dusk, and as evening set in, townspeople could see a red glow on the horizon, and the wind brought with it ash, dust, and embers. Around 10 p.m., a low rumbling sound was heard and quickly growing into a roar. It was described as a freight train or a huge rushing waterfall.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's...
Sorry, you caught me mid-yawn there. It wasn't because of your content. But no, that is that's scary. That's apocalyptic sounding, probably.
Yeah, they literally saw it coming.
Yeah.
Through the trees in the woods. So they knew they were fucked because it had all of this...
That's like that Harry Potter scene with the thing coming out of the...
Oh, the fiend fire?
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happens because it's also whirling.
The hand
because
gestures I was using didn't work. But
No, it's also whirling because of the low pressure front.
This is all... What's his face's fault?
Voldemort's?
No, who starts the fiend fire?
Goyle.
Yeah. Was it? Yep.
Or Crab. Shit, I don't know. It's been a while,
One of
guys.
those two.
Crab or Goyle. One
One
of
of
the two. They
Draco's
fucked up.
cronies.
Yeah, whatever. They're idiots.
That's your Harry Potter reference for the day?
Yep. So Father Pernin, a Peshtigo local, wrote in his journal about the fire. Quote, on looking towards the west, whence the wind had
Whence?
Whence?
You can tell he's a
Whence.
holy man.
Yes. The wind had persistently blown for hours past. I perceived above the dense cloud of smoke overhanging the earth a vivid red reflection of immense extent, and then suddenly struck my ear, strangely audible in the preternatural silence, raining around, a distant roaring, yet muffled sound, announcing that the elements were in commotion somewhere. Very dramatic.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Is that what you say to our pastor?
No. If he was that wordy, yes.
Yes. We wouldn't go there. I'd be like, Scott, this is like a fire and brimstone church. We need to leave.
Yeah.
They already think I'm weird enough. So suddenly,
Well, they're not wrong.
so suddenly the fire reached the town, and after ravaging through the forest, men were trying to use the only pumping engine they had available to douse the flames with, with water from the river. Soon they gave up and ran. Everyone...
Run for your life.
Yeah, everyone just ran in every direction. So that made it difficult to determine where to head for safety. Yeah. Some ran into shelters, other houses. There were people that
Scatter, it can't get us all. But it can.
Yes. About 800 people.
Thought it was 1,700.
In this town, it's only 800.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a lot more other places that got caught on fire. So anyway, this made it difficult to determine where to head for safety. Some people ran into shelters, some hid in basements, most headed to the river. Father Pernin was among those who ran to the river.
He's gonna start baptizing them all.
Yeah, no, this man is a saint. Like, he would take like clothes that was floating in the river and like dip it in water and put it over people's heads as they were like crossing to try to prevent
the
ambers.
fire.
Yeah, because it was literally catching people's clothes and hair on fire, and they were just aflame, running around.
And this is before hairspray.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is good old fashioned cotton.
This was not the right 80s hair.
No. So anyway, I use a lot of his quotes because there was a source that I found that had, it was just
the
really,
fathers?
the fathers.
Oh, good. They'll be flowery. I'm looking forward to them.
No, I didn't use a lot of them. There was a bunch of them though.
He's
but
going
they
to
were
use an
very,
art.
He's going to use a what?
He's going to use the word art.
No, he's not quite that old. Art thou? No. So anyway, the story was just, the details were just chilling.
Yeah.
So the air soon became unfit to breathe. People's clothes and hair were catching on fire while they were seeking refuge.
Oh, they look like your hair.
Yeah. Oh.
Her hair looks like fire.
Yeah. So all you could hear were the neighing of horses, the falling of trees and chimneys from homes, and the roaring of the wind and the fire. Everything but people. Everyone seemed to be silent. Once people reached the river, some were afraid to enter the water. It was cold, many people couldn't swim, and cows and horses had already made their way to the water safety, so it was filled with thrashing livestock.
Because they know how to survive.
Yes. So the townspeople spent hours in the water, preferring to risk drowning than burning alive. Many people died of hypothermia. And again, Father Pernin was among them. He spent 5.5 hours in the water before it was fit enough for him to climb out. Many people went blind from the smoke and the heat of the flames, and Father Pernin, temporarily blinded himself, went around to as many dying people as he could, because everybody was burned and dying, to give what little comfort he was able to offer.
It's crazy.
Yeah. His stories from, like, his, like, quotes from his journal.
Hopefully he has at least a plaque in the town of...
I have no idea.
Whatever town was this?
Peshtigo?
Peshtigo.
You can put it on the bucket list, you know. Why not? Out of all the places in Wisconsin, let's go to Peshtigo.
If we take the loop and go, like, Chicago through the UP and back...
Yeah. They have a museum. We could stop there. Fun facts.
Peshtigo Fire Museum?
They do.
Oh.
Where do you think I got most of my sources from?
It's like Mount St. Helens.
Mm-hmm. I have ash from Mount St. Helens.
I know. I live in this house.
What? Since when? Awkward pause.
3 years ago. I don't know.
So,
don't put me on the spot.
So outside of the town, others took shelters in wells, which offered little protection once the oxygen was eaten away by the fire, causing them to die from asphyxiation, or when debris fell into the wells. Some lay in the shallow streams. Some covered themselves with mud from swamps, and those were the ones that were most likely to survive. Most anyone.
Their complexion was flawless afterwards.
Oh, I can imagine.
Those
nice mud baths.
Oh,
yeah. So most anyone who lived in the woods did not make it out alive. The fire swept through Oconto, Marionette, Shawana, Brown, Kewanee.
Shipshawana?
Nope, just Shawana. Shipshawana is way further south.
I don't even know where Shipshawana is at.
Brown, Kiwana, Kiwani, Door, Manitowoc, Door. It's a peninsula.
Just D-O-O-R?
Yep, Door Peninsula. Manitowoc and...
I've heard love is an open door.
That's because we have a child. It's not an open door. And Outagamie counties in Wisconsin, destroying over 1.2 million acres, crossing over the Menomonee River into Menomonee County in Michigan. And that destroyed an additional 280,000 acres.
Next week, we're going to do a German story, so you can try to pronounce all those words, too.
There's a lot of involved in that, and I don't think I could cut it. I don't think I could
That was like the worst, like...
I told you. I want to be someone who knows lots of languages, but like I'm a product of the American education system. I don't know what you want from me.
No. You can't even roll your R's.
No, it's so sad.
It's because you're born with half a tongue.
Don't make fun of me. It's so tiny. So there was over $5 million in property damage done, which... according to this kind of sketchy calculator that I found online, is $109,448,360 today. Look at me. I didn't stutter over that.
1.5 million-ish.
1.1 million-ish.
I thought you said 448,000.
101.
Second guess yourself.
Yeah. It's 101. It's 109/448/360. Yeah. 109 million.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. Math. I studied art, guys. So not including the $2 million in estimated loss of lumber. The estimated death toll sits between 1,500 to 2,500 people dead. It's hard to determine an exact amount due to the transient lifestyle of the late 1800s and the fact that all records were completely destroyed in the fire.
Well, yeah, that's part of it.
Yep. So another 1,500 plus people were injured and over 3,000 people were homeless. The estimated life loss in Peshtigo alone was anywhere between 500 to 800 people. Only 2 buildings stood after the inferno. The heat was so intense that it melted the bell of Father Pernan's church. It pocked holes, like there were pockmark holes in the ground where trees had been fully engulfed in flame, starting from the roots and working all the way up. And they just left holes where the root systems were.
That's pretty nutty.
Yeah.
So it looked like Mars.
There were patches of dirt that had been turned into glass. Railroad cars were tossed around, and more than 350 people were buried in a mass grave, mostly because so many people had died in the fire that there was no one around to identify the bodies.
The people that died in the wells, they probably just left there.
They probably didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like if properties burned down and there was nothing left and it was just literally some stones in the middle of a field that had been burned, they would have had no clue.
Like they might have lowered themselves down to like look for missing people, but still like...
If there was somebody around who thought about it, there's miles between some of these farms back then.
Well, they knew people went into wells, so there was at least some wells being investigated.
Yeah. Or probably like someone years later being like, oh, there's a well on this property. Let's check it out. Oh, bones.
Yeah. Catacombs. Cool.
So the storm itself had reached enough of an intensity to be labeled as a firestorm, which according to Wikipedia, some dudes named Guess and Lutz, I didn't really look any further than that.
Yeah,
I was like, this seems like a legit source.
Them immediately.
Yep. Anyway, a firestorm is labeled as a superheated flame. Superheated flames of at least.
It's because you're wearing an owl shirt.
Yes. So the temperature of the flames have to hit at least 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit with advanced winds of 110 miles per hour or stronger, with the diameter of the fires ranging from 1,000 to 10,000 feet wide. So all of that happened, and then the Great Chicago Fire happened that night too, so no one heard anything about the ones in Michigan and Wisconsin. So in case you didn't know, the Chicago Fire
have the same zhuzh as Chicago. You're saying
no? The Chicago Fire started allegedly from O'Leary's cow kicking over a gas lantern in a barn, and it caught everything on fire. Pretty much because of the same circumstances: dry summer, that low pressure front,
crazy winds,
all the wood because Chicago was mostly wood as well, and that wound up causing most of the city to burn down, killing 250 to 300 people in the fire and destroying a 4-mile radius of Chicago. So that was the story about the night that the Midwest burned down. How do you feel?
I'm warm, but that's not because of fire. It's just hot up here.
And the shots of vodka, I'm sure.
Well, they get the blood flowing a little bit. Yeah. But no, it was informative.
Mm-hmm. I try sometimes.
Anytime you don't give me names of dead people, I feel better.
Yes.
I
gave you. He was a survivor.
Yeah, a name of a hero of sorts.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hopefully you're not sick of our voices.
Congratulations.
Sources real quick.
Sources?
Yep. mlive.com, wikipedia.com, the Library of Congress at www.loc.com. Wisconsin history.
It's a .com, not a .gov.
It might have been .gov. I don't remember. I was trying to do this real quick last minute a few hours
Library
ago.
of Congress's website, whatever that is.
Yep. So wisconsinhistory.org and the PeshtigaFireMuseum.com.
And you guys will be listening to this. What? This is Tuesday's episode?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This weekend, upcoming, we are going to Eloise Asylum.
Yep.
To do some ghost inquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
So keep an eye out on social media. They'll probably post at least pictures when we go. And then anything we find, we will edit and put together. Some of it will be Patreon only, I'm sure, but then there'll be some of it that is dispersed to the masses. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm? Mm-hmm. So that should be fun.
Yep.
And if you've been, let us know. The only person we know that's been is Murphy.
Yep.
So, and she's as witchy as they come.
She really is. She's like, take this stone and take this stone, and I have holy oil, and she's like, protect yourself. Except Scott's like, I studied biochemistry, and I'm a scientist. I don't really any of that stuff. Just like that.
I didn't say any of that. I'm just saying if you
that's exactly what you said.
If you put olive oil on my shoes, I'm going to kick you.
It's not olive oil. It's been blessed.
So what is it?
I have no fucking clue.
It's probably vegetable oil. Catholic Church can't afford olive oil.
Sure they can. They can afford the blood of children.
They're not going to. They're going to go with the mass. They just got a gallon of it from Sam's Club.
Probably grapeseed oil. That seems like a pretty good oil.
I bet you it's vegetable oil. Let's heat it and find it's boiling. Anyway, we have the technology. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Keep an eye out on all of our things and stuff.
Yep.
And you'll hear us Friday. I don't know when we're recording Friday's episode. Maybe.
I'm working on it. All right. The deep dive took a lot out of me.
All right. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.